Alright, internet land, today is another day of me bolting parts together until I get a Norton Commando. And today the parts I'm bolting together is this crankshaft. Alright, so this should be a quick, easy video. There's not much to it, just a few bolts, some studs, and yeah, that's kind of about it. So let's just go ahead and get to it rather than dragging this out. Right, so you can see in front of me I have my crankshaft bits, flywheel on either side of the crankshaft. I've got a new set of hardware here from Andover Norton. I think they can all give their guys some hefty Christmas bonuses this year because of me. So, all new hardware. Nice, so we have our two studs here, and we have our 4 bolts. We have our locking tabs as well. I think these go between the 2 studs if I remember correctly. Then all new nuts as well. Ideally, it's best to replace all this when you're doing it. I think especially the nuts, I think are kind of a one-time use thing is what they say. But it is what it is. I've got all brand new stuff, so I'm trying to do it properly. And let's just go ahead and get to it. So, everybody talks about the sludge traps. That's the inside of the crankshaft here. Clean them, clean them, clean them. As everybody says, did you clean the sludge traps? Anytime I read anything online, it's, did you clean the sludge traps? Did you clean them? Yeah, okay. So, I cleaned them, don't worry. I cleaned them well, cleaned them in the parts washer. And also another thing I did was I measured my crank journals here, make sure they were round. They say you can measure them on like 2 different planes. I did 3 just to be safe. They were well within the tolerances, so that is good. And so yeah, everything's good to go. Getting back together. After I get this together, that'll probably be it for today's video. In the next one we'll probably put the rods on, and I've got the cylinders right now at a machinist, overboring those 40 over. All right, so this can only kind of set one way. Odds are there's probably a better way to do this than the way I'm doing it, but this is my first time ever doing this. So, sorry internet land, I'm not the best in the world at this. I'm just doing the best I can with what I've got, and the best way I know to do it. Alright, so this is kind of going to go together like this. I got to figure out which way the bolts are supposed to go, and where the studs go, and all that kind of fun stuff. Okay, so looking at the picture in Mr. Norman White's book right here, Mr. Norman White, you're the man. That's all I have to say about that. And another thing that I didn't do before I took this apart was I didn't check the crank infloat, which I should have done. I didn't have a test indicator to do that, or a dial test indicator, sorry. But I have ordered a dial test indicator, so I can check all that before I finalize getting everything bolted together. Alright, I think this is kind of going to be it. We'll just go ahead and get this together. Alright, so this is actually the second time of me starting to put this together. I think what I will do is kind of just go ahead and put a lot of my bolts through this side here. Alright, so I was doing this incorrectly earlier. My studs actually go through the bottom part here. Alright. So I'm just going to put that on. Push everything through. There we go. Alright, that's easy enough. Line this other side up, push it on. There we go, beautiful. And we are halfway there already. So the studs go on the bottom there between these counterweights here, because there's no way one of these bolts are fitting there. That's not going to happen. All right, so these actually go down there over our studs. Then we'll go ahead and start finger tightening our nuts. And when these get torqued down, they get torqued down to 25 foot-pounds of torque. I've got my torque wrench right here, ready to go. So I'm going to try to do everything properly here. And also, I got to pay attention, looks like. 2 of these nuts are different from the rest. All right, so looking at this, I've got these 2 nuts that are wider than the rest, as you can see here. And just by looking at it, I would say these go on these top 2 bolts here. It's kind of the only place that there's really room for something of that length. And with their studs, try to get them as even as possible before you start tightening up these nuts. All right, we've got everything finger tight now. All right, before I torque them down, I'm going to get a little tension on all of them, just with a regular socket here. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get a torque wrench on these ones on the inside, but I can probably get it pretty close by feel. I've been turning wrenches for, I don't know, 20 years. I feel like I'm kind of familiar with what 25 foot-pounds torque will feel like. So, all right. So I've got a little tension on all these. I got them all snug. All right, so I don't really know how to figure this out, but I've got a little dead blow there. And I think this is kind of helping me a little bit with keeping this from turning. Just kind of working my way around, tightening this up a little bit at a time. That one's 25. That was 25. 25, 25. Then I'm going to tighten these down here, and then I'm going to check them all again to make sure everything's at 25. So 25 is quite a few, about 1.5 ugga-duggas. Double check them, make sure we're good. All right, there we go. So now we have our crankshaft here, fully assembled. I guess the next thing to do is going to put our rods on here. That'll probably be the next video or so. All right guys, that's all I've got for you guys today. It's just a quick short video assembling this crankshaft. I've got a lot going on in my personal life, so I'm keeping busy doing most things around there, around the house, and trying to get the shop ready for some other stuff that I've got going on. So it's just kind of nipping away a little bit at a time on the Commando. I've got new tires ordered because the fender that I ordered is actually for an early Commando, which I have. So one of the previous owners put the wrong size front tire on it, so it all rubs and it doesn't fit. So I've got new tires. They actually came in today. So I've got those, and I've got a tool coming in, I think tomorrow, to help me install tires, because I hate doing tires so much. And I've got enough bikes where I can justify buying me a tool to do tires to make my life easier, because it'll pay for itself in probably the first year or two. All right, so that's all I've got for you guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what I did wrong, because I probably did do something wrong. Such is life. Thank you, and have a good night.